When we were kids, we would often sit around the fire listening to old Leon, a veteran farmer in the village, tell us, "The forest gives us life, but if we fail to keep balance, it will also bring forth dangers to test mankind." Those words seemed like mere old tales, until the vicious growls of wild boars tore through the peaceful night, spreading chaos and fear across the village. Just a few days earlier, a rampage of wild boars had destroyed barns and fields. Now that peace was under threat, we understood that our duty was not only to protect crops and livestock, but also to safeguard the sacred harmony with the forest. Today's hunt was not merely punishment, but a stern reminder: this village still has those willing to rise up and fight for its peace. At dawn, our team set out. The road ahead was long, and though our truck carried little, our hearts were full of belief and determination. The hunt begins. Today's battleground was a rugged hillside where jagged rocks could injure you at any misstep, but this was the very territory of the Boars. Right then, our first target appeared. The boar came charging at breakneck speed, heading straight toward me. My heart pounded, but the rifle was already in my hands. I took aim. My finger tightened on the trigger, the barrel trembling slightly with my breath. The sharp crack of the gunshot echoed through the forest. It dropped instantly to the ground. At that moment, James spotted another target. From the top of a hill, he saw a boar bolting in panic, perhaps startled by my earlier shot. It dashed frantically, seeking cover in thick bushes. But such tricks couldn't fool a seasoned hunter like James. He had already predicted its path. He raised his rifle, calm and steady, waiting. The moment the boar burst from the brush, James pulled the trigger. Clean, precise, the boar was erased from its escape route in an instant. Move east. Our dogs have locked onto a target. Jack's voice crackled through the radio. We rushed to the marked spot. As we arrived, the barking of our hounds echoed, heightening our alertness. A boar was trapped within the dog circle. "Leave it to me," Jack said. Without hesitation, he advanced, raised his rifle, aimed steadily, and fired. The shot struck true. The boar staggered, wounded but still crawling away. Jack didn't waste another bullet. He knew the hounds would finish the job. It wouldn't get far. Jack quickly moved down the slope. "There it is, right in my sights." "No way you're escaping," he muttered. The boar sprinted desperately, but Jack was ready. He fired. The bullet struck true, sending it tumbling lifelessly down, ending its reign of havoc over the forest. On the other side of the forest edge, James and I followed the hound's trail as planned. A massive boar was being chased down. Its shadow loomed large, leaving us in awe. I raised my rifle and fired. The bullet struck, the beast thrashed violently. We were forced to step back to avoid its counterattack. Then, boom, another shot sealing its fate. I just ran into a massive herd. They were too fast. I only managed to take down a few. Jack's voice came over the radio. As he scouted the area, he heard the pounding of many hooves. Not one boar, but an entire herd charging like arrows. No time to think. In just seconds, they would be gone. Jack fired, quick and precise. One, then two boars dropped in the dust. The rest vanished in the forest, but at least their numbers had been thinned. We wanted to chase the herd, but night was falling. We had no choice but to return. As we stopped at the village gate, people gathered. There were no loud cheers, only silent, grateful eyes. The truck bed, heavy with trophies, was proof of our courage, but also a reminder: the forest still holds secrets and trials for mankind. This hunt did not end with victory alone. It opened up a new responsibility. The forest will always remain generous yet stern. We know we cannot rest on this triumph. We received shocking news from home. My mother's hard work on the fields was being destroyed by a herd of wild boars. To protect that harvest, we chose the specialized hunting bow, a weapon that demands silence and absolute precision. Without hesitation, we set out. Today, this bow is not just for hunting, but for preserving the sweat and effort of an entire season. We moved quickly to the vehicle and headed straight into the waiting forest. Battle plans, the positions of the automatic feeders, and each member's coordinates were laid out clearly. Wearing camouflage gear, boots gripping the damp soil, radios checked, and bows firmly in hand, arriving in the forest at dawn, the silence was eerie. Soon, the sweet trap we had set paid off. Their greed became a fatal mistake. As the herd feasted carelessly, I held my breath, sighted the largest boar, drew back the bowstring, and released. Thud! The arrow pinned the beast to the ground. Relief washed over the team, because the first shot always sets the rhythm for the entire hunt. The rest of the herd panicked and scattered. Our first victory was still fresh when the radio crackled with news. The second feeder was working perfectly. Suddenly, a greedy brute froze, sensing danger. This was the chance. John released his arrow. It struck hard. The boar struggled violently before collapsing in defeat. That arrow carried no hatred. It carried a promise. A full harvest for my mother. Following fresh tracks, I trailed those that had escaped earlier. They led me into a damp, overgrown area. Aha, there it was. A wild boar cooling itself in the mud beneath a tree. I drew the bow tight and released with certainty. The arrow cut through the air, and with a dry thump, the beast thrashed, then fell still. The hunter's secret is to think like the prey itself. Only by understanding its thirst and exhaustion under the burning sun can you anticipate its next move. The hunt was far from over. As the afternoon shadows stretched long, we moved to the forest's edge, where another feeder had drawn intruders. Every step, every breath had to be silent. One mistake could cost the peace of this land. Perched on a high branch, I lined up the perfect shot. But the arrow sliced the air and missed. Missed! The beasts bolted instantly into the distance. Swallowing my frustration, I radioed their direction to my teammates. turning my mistake into their opportunity. The moment John received my call, he sprinted across the meadow to intercept. Along the way, he spotted dark shadows rustling in the tall grass, searching for food. In that tense moment, he drew his bow, the limbs bending to their limit. But haste ruined it. The arrow missed. The three brutes wheeled around and vanished eastward. Bow hunting is unforgiving. One mistimed breath, a tiny gust of wind, and the arrow strays. Failure stings, but every miss teaches the harsh line between success and defeat. John and I pressed on, tracking the survivors to a clearing deep in the forest, only to find not three, but an entire herd feasting together. From above, I drew tight, muscles straining, aiming at the massive target below. Arrows flew, and though some struck true, several beasts escaped. Fate seemed to mock us. Today's hunt was grueling, filled with narrow victories and bitter misses. But our determination to protect the fields is unshaken. We will return, armed even stronger. As sunset painted the sky, it was time to call it a day. We packed our gear, loaded our spoils into the Jeep Gladiator, and rolled home. This battle will only end when no wild boar threatens my mother's fields. The morning sun cast a gentle glow on the gray stone roofs of Alberobello village. We returned to visit the locals, only to learn that their farmlands had been ravaged by wild boars. So, our team decided to help them protect their crops. But this time, we wouldn't wait for nightfall. Above the fields, rotor blades cut through the wind, trembling slightly with every move. Our eyes scanned every plot of land, hands gripping weapons tight. The whole team was ready. The hunt would begin in the skies, where nothing could hide, for the seeds, for the harvest, and for the peace of the village. Come join us on this mission. The weather was misty. Barely after takeoff, we spotted a herd of wild boars tearing through a field at the edge of the village. Without hesitation, we shifted formation. I gripped the controls, keeping altitude steady. The moment arrived. He held his breath, squeezed the trigger. Boom! The bullet ripped through the air, and the animal collapsed right in the middle of the field. In the skies, there's no room for improvisation. Every flight path, every angle of approach is pre-calculated based on years of studying the boar's movements. We don't chase. We simply stay one step ahead to protect this land. As the sun climbed higher, golden light spilled across the cornfields, scarred with destruction. This time, only one boar appeared. Big, fat, clearly separated from the herd. I adjusted altitude, keeping the helicopter steady. John, our veteran marksman, lined up his shot. Bullets sliced through the air, swift, precise. The beast froze, then dropped instantly. Next, we moved to another area, a field the villagers had harvested just last week. Yet, the boars kept storming in, trampling the soil and threatening to destroy the next crop. I held the chopper low and steady, giving John the angle he needed. The barrel heated up quickly as bursts of fire streaked toward the scattering shadows, each shot removing a hidden threat to the crops below. Through the haze, Mark spotted another herd sprinting across a harvested field. Shots fired with precision, none missing their mark. Boars crumpled on the spot, never standing a chance. Whether the weather favored us or not, our resolve to defend the harvest never wavered. Our squad rotated, and the new group included Ellie, the only female sharpshooter on the team, but fearless and skilled. We headed to a fresh area, crops thriving in peak season. As expected, the destroyer showed up again, feeding recklessly in the open. I held the chopper steady, keeping her angle perfect. Ellie's trigger squeeze was firm, decisive. The target fell in seconds. Clean execution, every shot unervingly accurate. Under the golden afternoon light, the mission went on exactly as we had trained countless times before. What do you think of our teamwork here? Don't hesitate to leave a comment with your thoughts. As dusk fell, we decided to take on one last target before returning. This time, the boar was far more elusive, weaving through thick brush in an unpredictable zigzag. The team strained their eyes, anticipating its next move, trying to calculate the perfect angle. Suddenly, it burst back into the open field, where two others were waiting. No chance wasted. We quickly repositioned, coordinating to cover all three at once. Firm, unhesitating shots rang out. All three were brought under control with ease. By the end of the long day, fatigue weighed on us, but relief prevailed. Another mission completed, another day securing the farmlands just as we had promised the villagers. And so, our journey in Albrobello came to an end, filled with pride in protecting the harvest. Even with setbacks from the weather, teamwork and local support carried us through. Only those who've toiled under the sun in the fields truly understand the value of hard-earned crops. But here in the state of Georgia, that hard work is constantly threatened by an uninvited menace, wild hogs. Wherever they go, destruction follows. They tear through farmland, leaving devastation in their wake. That's why we're here. Every mile we roll across Georgia's red soil, every hour spent under the blazing sun, we serve as a shield standing between these invaders and the peace of our farming communities. So, hop in, grip the wheel tight, and follow us on this mission to face one of the most intelligent and destructive invasive species in America. Morning is the time for strategy. After a night of foraging, wild hogs retreat to thick-covered hillsides to hide. The battle here isn't about speed, it's about patience, sharp instincts, and the ability to read the land. At first light, we took position along one of their usual travel routes. And just as planned, a wild hog came charging up the hillside at a terrifying speed. A hail of bullets rained down, but as if protected by some unseen force, it slipped through and escaped unharmed. Not the smoothest start, but this early failure only fueled our determination. What do you think? Was it pure luck on its part, or were we just too eager to pull the trigger? The sting of that missed shot was still fresh when the chance for redemption appeared. Another wild hog stepped into the clearing like a challenge thrown straight at us. This time we took our time. Every shot was calculated, every angle covered to cut off its escape. And finally, A round found its mark, turning earlier frustration into a sweet, satisfying victory. On this side of the red dirt hillside, the tension was just as high. A wild hog came barreling down at incredible speed. A tough shot for even the best marksman. But the moment it crossed perfectly perpendicular to the barrel, the shot was fired, neutralizing the threat instantly. Following the trail of the one that got away, James made his way to the other hillside, taking cover behind sparse branches. And there it was, but this time it had a smaller companion by its side. His mind was locked onto the main target, but in that split-second decision, the bullet found the tag-along instead. The smaller animal dropped, and the hog he'd been tracking, once again, it vanished into the depths of the forest. As the sun reached its peak and George's heat began to weigh heavy, we knew the battlefield had shifted. The wild hogs would no longer roam the open hillsides. They'd now retreat into the brush and thickets of the lowlands to hide. Out on the lowland side, John was tucked into the brush, waiting for his moment. When the wild hog came charging straight in, the one-on-one showdown began. Sensing danger, it tried to veer off, but the barrel of John's gun didn't give it that chance. Boom! One shot, and all its desperate efforts came to a crashing end. Amidst the endless sea of grass, a thick, solid hog was calmly enjoying the peace. But as David approached, it didn't run. Instead, it turned into a torpedo, charging straight at him. 2 gunshots rang out not just in self-defense, but to protect the balance of this land. The sky warned of rain on the horizon, pushing us to chase one final victory. Our truck tore across the lush green field, aiming to cut it off with a bold move. But the wild hog was too clever. It spun around in a perfect 180 and vanished into thin air, leaving me with nothing but a bitter taste of defeat. The sun had fully dipped behind the pine trees, and the engine of the Jeep Gladiator was slowly cooling down. A long day came to an end with many achievements, but also a lesson learned from a clever escapee. Today's haul would be taken straight to the processing plant, some destined for hearty barbecue feasts shared with the whole village, the rest given to the farming families we protect. The greatest joy isn't in how much we bagged, but in seeing the smiles and peace of mind on everyone's faces.